So I start recording, very good, and I will switch now to Jitsi, so I can see the both of us, and now everything is recording. So
Very good.
hello, and thank you for joining me. So let's start with some basic things. First of all, what is your name? Where do you live? What do you do? You know, this kind of general stuff.
Absolutely. So my name is Thomas. I live in New Brunswick, Canada, the east coast of Canada. Uh, for work, I work for, I guess, kind of the Canadian government. And other than that, spend my time working. Most of my time besides work is doing whether training or coaching Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Hmm.
Spend a lot of time at the gym there, and yeah.
Okay, okay. So we will get into that because I'm curious to learn a lot. But before we go into that, I want to go first on the technical side of things, and then we can go into the martial arts. When you messaged me, you told me about your blog. So I am curious. Do you use Emacs to write to that, or how is your setup? Let's say the writing part.
So I do write in Emacs. Um, it's the platform I use to host the blog is write.as, which is kind of just a blogging platform that it's software that uses like ActivityPub and whatnot. So it allows you to follow it through that or through RSS or all the basic blog stuff. Yeah. So it
So
works fairly well for my needs. Yeah.
Activity Hub, just because I'm fuzzy on the technologies, is Activity Hub this whole federated thing?
Yes, ActivityPub. Yes. The
Activity
like
Pub. Yeah.
Mastodon, PixelFed, all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So basically, you can post on write.as and somehow have it syndicated to or federated, whatever the technical term is, to.
Yes. Yeah. So you just post to it like a normal blog. I just I usually write them in HTML. I'll use this markup, so it's very simple my needs, but I'll just post it. Then people can either get an email or through ActivityPub they can follow or RSS usual
Okay,
stuff.
okay. Okay, good, good. And does it require any special setup? Like, how is your pipeline? Like, when you want to write a new blog post, what do you do?
So I write the blog in Emacs. There is a software to publish directly to write.as using just from Emacs. I do need to fix a few like little quirks that make it work for my needs, but
Mm-hmm.
that is an option.
Okay, okay.
So generally, I just like copy and paste for now. I write it, then I copy and paste to the website, which works fine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess that would be a problem if you were writing a lot and very frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you write in Emacs, is there any special setup you have? Because there are people who have like, I want my spell checking, I want
Right.
large fonts and all the fancy things. So, do you have any special setup for writing? How do you like to be creative?
Right. Besides basic spell check, I don't do all that much. I could. There's probably stuff I could add that would be useful to my setup, but I have to look into that.
Hmm.
These days, I've kind of not written for my actual blog in a while, or all that much in a while.
Hmm.
I write like a newsletter for my jiu-jitsu gym that I train at.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
most of the writing's gone there, but yes, it's similar setup. Yeah.
And is that also write.as? Is it the same infrastructure?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So there again, copy, paste, same idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I see, I see. And do you use Emacs for any other activities? Like, what do you do with it beside blogging?
Mainly writing. I do things like even small stuff like RSS feeds, following that, use like Lfeed.
Mm-hmm.
That works well. I don't do very much programming, so I don't really use it for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess it is mainly writing and sometimes like file management a little bit, yeah.
I see, I see. What about the whole org part? So do you do any of
Yes,
that?
I do use org mode for like notes and stuff. Sometimes I'll convert it to either Markdown or HTML, whether depending on my needs, what I'm using it for. But mostly for notes, I use org mode like I use Dnote.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And do you do any to-dos, agendas, and
Not really agenda. I'll use like to do functions just to organize things, but it's pretty basic my setup, so
okay, okay,
I
okay.
probably could use it more effectively, but something to work
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What I find with to-dos stuff is that if you have a basic setup, it works well if you are consistent with it. And usually you don't need all the extras on top. And when you have the extras on top, basically you get confused.
Right.
And this is, at least this is how it has worked for me, and I have seen it with other people, where as soon as you introduce more, oh, I want to have project dependencies, and oh, it should
Mm,
filter thus, and do this other thing on the side, and then you have to keep track of all that.
yes, it can be done, but it can be a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have
One issue
you?
I was having for a while
Sorry, I didn't
was
hear you. Can you please repeat that?
oh sorry, yeah. I was having the issue for a while with org mode is like figuring out how to sync my like to-do list between my computer to like my phone or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. I never really found a solution for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just use, at least right now for my to-do list, I use my Supernote device, my e-reader that has a like to-do list function, or so I mainly use that. Yeah.
I see, I see. People who have this requirement will usually resort to some proprietary offering, all these cloud options, or they will do something with SyncThing.
Mhm.
That's what I've heard the most. Me, I haven't tried any.
Right.
Do you use an Android device or something where you could have Emacs on it, theoretically?
The answer is yes, but I recently bought a new phone. I got like in an effort to use my phone less,
Hmm.
I bought this phone that's like has an e-ink screen. It's this one here,
Oh, oh, nice.
and it's pretty limited in the apps that you can like silos, of course. So you can theoretically put any app on it. That's still Android, but it just comes with like basic apps like Maps, which I think uses like what's called OpenStreetMaps,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
things like meditation timer and recorder and a notes app, but it's pretty basic other than that.
Okay,
And it makes
okay,
it all
okay.
in text, yes.
So an e-ink display, I've never used one. I have only read about it. But basically, the difference is that the refresh rate of the screen is lower or something.
Yes. The only minor issue with that is mainly, I guess, in the maps and a little bit in the texting. It's a little bit slow for that, but not too bad. But obviously, it's much easier on your eyes. If you,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, need to stare at it for a while, you'd be fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. Like I've seen this with a lot of people where they have their monitor, whether it's their phone or their desktop, cranked up to the max in terms of brightness. And then they are like, oh, you know what? I cannot use a light theme. And I'm like, my friend, check your setting. Because it hurts your eyes and you don't realize
Yes,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm interested to see how like e-ink monitors for computers evolve because I know there's some like companies doing those kind of,
Hmm.
but it's not really. It seems not quite there yet, but I don't know, or at least it's very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember checking it a couple of years ago, and while it is promising, if you have to pay an exorbitant fee,
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of deters you, or you have second thoughts at least. You're like, you know
Mm.
what? Actually, I will take the other one, which is the
Yeah.
beam of light.
Yeah. I know there's like I think it's called Modos, which is like trying to do an open source type deal with an e-ink screen. I don't know how far along they are, but something to look at
Yeah. Hmm.
in the future.
Yeah, the thing is, when it's like open source and hardware, and let's have open standards and all that,
Mm.
it sounds good, but until it reaches the market, you have to
Yeah, it's a
basically,
challenge. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and keep your expectations in check, basically. And it happens with everything because fundamentally, the kind of capacity, industrial capacity you need for that, basically goes together with the people who have the money and who are in for the money. Very good, very good. Have you tried to do anything else with Emacs, kind of like email inside of Emacs or web
You know,
browsing inside of Emacs or other fancy things?
I haven't really tried email. Maybe I should, but we something to look at.
Hmm.
What else?
The other big
Yeah,
thing that people do nowadays is the whole AI business,
right.
widely understood, whether it is the chatbots or the
Yes.
coding agents. Have you ever played with any of that?
A little bit. I subscribed to the search engine Kagi, if you've heard of that.
Hmm.
And they have like some AI stuff kind of on the side.
Okay.
So I play with that a little bit. I'd like to try it in Emacs, but the way they do it, it doesn't allow you to like have API access
Hmm.
currently. I think they're working on that, but like just the cost of like people always calling to the API with, and it's just a matter of figuring that out, I think, for them. But yeah,
Yeah, the thing is basically if you are a paid subscriber, depending on which one, of course, they give you this API
yes,
key, and then you, unless they have a different way of doing it, but basically you expose it via the shell environment variable,
yes,
and then you just use a package in Emacs such as GPTL.
yes, yeah. I know for Kagi, like currently, you use like it's a separate. You like add money to the I guess API side, so it's a little separate from the subscription, but yeah,
I
which makes
see.
sense. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Do you do any reading in Emacs of PDF files? Because I want to get to a specific type of content that you mentioned on your blogs. I will tell you more about that.
yeah, sure. I generally don't do that in Emacs. I use my e-reader, which I have here as well.
Okay.
Generally read longer documents on that. It's a little tougher for me just in regular computer screen to read for a long period, but yeah.
Okay, okay, I see, I see. Because I was curious about that. Like you mentioned on your blog, manga, right?
Yeah.
So I assume that that is available in PDF or some EPUB form or something like that.
So yes,
Hmm.
um, often often it's like a CBZ file, which I believe is mostly just a zip file I
Okay,
use for like comic books and things like that.
okay,
And you can sometimes it'll be in like PDF or I usually just convert it to a CBZ, then put it on here.
okay, okay. I see, I see. Okay, okay. Yeah, because I had the impression that it would be just a generic PDF. So it
It
just
can be sometimes, but yeah, if it is, I just convert it usually.
okay, okay.
Make it a
I
little
see,
easier,
I
yeah.
see. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let's talk about the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
So you write a newsletter, but before
Yeah.
we go into the newsletter, you say that you attend a gym.
Mm.
So how is that like? How long have you been doing it? What is it like?
So I started training would have been way back in 2011,
Mm-hmm.
around then. So at the time there was one gym in town, so I went there. Were not any other options.
Okay.
Then around during COVID, maybe late 2020, the current gym started up and started training there and started getting more involved there. So
Mm-hmm. And is
it's
it
kind of like
does it attract a lot of I don't know how you call them, like trainees
members.
or members or yeah, whatever.
Yes, so we're definitely the biggest gym in the area. I believe currently around between kids and youth and adults, we're around 200-ish.
Oh, wow. That's like a small village. That's very nice.
Yes.
Wow, yeah. And like, do you have facilities for all of them, separate, like segregation of kids and adults and
So we have different programs for like kids and like youth, like teenagers, then an adult program. And obviously not everyone's in at the same time, but we
hmm
have one mat space. The funny thing is like we'll have classes at different times during the day. So if there's a 6 a.m. class, you might get a different crowd than you do at like in the evening.
Okay, of course. Yeah, makes sense.
So most days we'll have maybe a youth or kids class and then an adult class in like weekday evenings. Then the weekends we'll do like open mats, so like free training time.
Okay. And in that, so what is the training like? Let's go a little bit because I'm curious. So let's take a step back. So what is the martial art about? So how do you, like if I see two
Yeah,
people fighting, how will I know if it's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu?
fair enough. So mainly jitsu is you think of it a little bit like Olympic judo or wrestling.
Okay.
It's very pretty much always grappling based.
Okay.
If you see like I don't know if you've ever seen like the UFC or MMA or mixed martial arts,
Yeah,
jitsu would
I've
be like
watched a few clips, yeah, but haven't
yeah,
really followed it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jitsu would be mainly like the grappling, like grabbing someone else and pulling them down, or and things like submissions, like a chokehold or an arm extension, arm bar.
Okay, so the idea
There's
is
a lot
you
of those
grab your
submissions.
opponent and have to
Yeah.
basically immobilize them and hold them still or
Yes.
something?
Basically,
Hmm.
if two people are standing up, you want to be the person to get the other person down, be on top of them, then hopefully cause them to tap out
Hmm.
or submit
Hmm. Hmm.
using whatever you can, I guess.
I see. And do you ever strike the opponent or is it strictly grappling? So by strike, I mean punch, kick, I don't know, headbutt, whatever.
In most practices, no. If it's things like it's used a lot in like training for police officers or frontline workers. So in terms of that, you can certainly add in things like you could wear MMA gloves. You could even just do little slaps, just to make it more realistic.
Hmm.
Generally, in most practices, we don't do strikes though.
I
But
see.
some can be added with relative ease.
I see. I see. Okay. And when you train, how is it? How rough does it get? Or is it really safe?
Um, the thing is, it can be as rough as you want it to be most of the time. So say one person comes in and they're 19 years old male. They want to maybe fight mixed martial arts or things like that. They can find partners who also want to train hard and scrap a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Where someone comes in their 40s and they just want to learn something new and get exercise,
Mm-hmm.
they can maybe take a little bit slower pace at first, at least.
Okay.
You can kind of scale it a little bit.
I see. I see. And basically, the trainers and the members will accommodate everybody. Like it sounds like an inclusive place. It's not like
Yes,
peak
no.
high performers only.
I think there was a time when most distance gyms you'd find would be basically MMA gyms, and then
Mm-hmm.
more like Fight Club type deal.
Oh.
Much rougher than you would find on average today, but
Mm-hmm.
generally a lot of people over the years they got good from like being in a hard environment, but they also got severe injuries, whether torn ACL or different
Mm.
ligament injuries, or even worse, like brain injuries or things like that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So older training methods were effective and rough, but not necessarily the best long term for well-being.
Yeah, that's the thing with sport in general.
Yes.
Like with
Yeah.
football as well. Like I have read that by football I mean soccer, association football. Like basically, if you head the ball and you do that too many times, it's bad for your longer term
Yes.
wellness. Yeah.
You ever do like head the ball, you get like a metallic taste in your mouth?
Mm. Hmm. And yeah, and then long term, basically, it contributes to dementia. That's the
Yes,
idea.
absolutely.
Yeah, 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 of course. Plus, of course, if you are not a pro and you tear your ACL or break some other part of your leg anyway, well,
Yeah, true.
nobody's paying for that. You have to
Yeah.
somehow pay for it, and it's rough.
You have to go to work the next day, or at least most people do. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What
the
is
definitely is a
the?
real problem, especially in like
Mhm,
mixed martial arts.
mhm.
You see a fair few fighters who, even now in their 40s or 50s, have trouble with their speech or with cognitive function or are very slowed down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. I think that's the part of sport in general that we don't want to talk about. Like you're like, oh, hey, kids, yeah, go have fun and play and I don't know, beat each other up or whatever. But there is a long-term cost.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit because you mentioned that they were basically fight clubs and eventually they kind of became more normalized, more mainstream, perhaps. I don't know if that's the
Right.
right word. So, what did contribute to that? If you know, of course.
So a little history on jiu-jitsu. Um, Funny thing about jiu-jitsu is it's a martial art. So like of the tales of like back in the day and like legendary fighters, there's all these exaggerations and some not true things that are often spread around, and tales grow larger and larger over the years. But basically, it came mostly from judo in like maybe 1930s. The
Okay.
Gracie family, or Helio and Carlos Gracie in Brazil, kind of started their own offshoot of judo that evolved over the years into what we have now. They used to have like what they called Vale Tudo fights, which was more or less MMA, but actually no rules.
What does no rules mean in this context? Like you can punch below the belt, that sort of thing?
Yes, it would mean sometimes there'll be like no, maybe they'll say no biting or no groin strikes. But oftentimes they will allow that, back in the day at least.
Hmm.
And one other funny thing is there were a lot of real fights done in that style, but there are also a lot of like worked fights. They're basically pro wrestling.
Okay.
They were advertised as a real fight, but maybe the outcome was a little set in stone,
Cryptid.
maybe more entertaining for the audience and more less long term damage from actually pummeling your full abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, as it kind of started to expand in the 70s with like Carlson Gracie kind of doing maybe more harder training for like getting more people involved. Then the 80s started coming out of Brazil a little bit. They came to America, like a little bit before that, but they started opening a few gyms in America. Then the 90s really exploded with the first UFC event.
Okay.
So that was when Hoist Gracie won UFC events 1, 2, and 4. And those were mostly no rule events. I think I'm not quite 100% on it. I think no biting and eye gouging, they kind of agreed.
Okay.
Those
Okay.
were the pay per view events.
But
But
otherwise, it was pretty bloody. Like,
yeah,
if your only rule is no biting.
yeah, that leaves a lot of room for. So those are fun stories. The early UFCs were mostly made up of, they were like tournaments, right? So
Okay.
like could be an 8-person tournament in one night. So
Hmm.
if you won, you had to fight at least 3 times in
Oh,
one
eight
night.
person tournament. So when we say one night, how many in the over the span of how many hours?
Oh, well, over the span of pay-per-view broadcast, so maybe 3, 4 at most.
Okay, and each fight lasts for how long? Let's say you win all your fights. So how much will you be fighting? Let's-
So in the early UFC days, at least the first few, they were mostly very short, like
Okay.
maybe a few minutes or even a few seconds.
Okay.
The first UFC fight, at least on the broadcast, was Gerard Gordeau, a kickboxer, kind of, and I'm not probably saying his name wrong, but Taylor Tooley, who was a sumo wrestler.
Oh.
And so this is the first UFC event. It was a big event. Like all the executives and like their wives were in the front row. So the first fight starts. They go forward. Gerard Gordeau basically kicks the sumo wrestler in the mouth really hard. His teeth go flying. Some of his teeth go flying to the front row.
Wow.
A lot of the wild executives just get up and leave immediately. Because back at least at that time, there was a lot of like mystique around martial arts from movies and whatnot, things like Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan,
Yeah, of
and there's
course.
less knowledge of like what would actually happen if people like fought each other
Hmm.
in a no rules environment, mostly no rules. Some people weren't sure what to expect, and the reality was quite extreme or violent.
Yeah, obviously, because they are
People
expecting
like
this kind
punching,
of.
jumping, moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
So yeah, because for example, in those Jackie Chan movies, you see, so it's Jackie Chan and he's surrounded by let's say 100 guys
Yeah,
with clubs and guns and whatever, but they are just hanging around. Everybody is making a commotion, but nobody's actually beating Jackie Chan up. So maybe they would think that it's actually not
or it's
that
like you
violent,
get 100 guys, like you say, or like
and then you're just
they all
punching
go,
around.
they all have like knives or weapons, and he's like just hitting them. And
Yeah.
whereas the more realistically,
You're
well,
finished.
you're in trouble. Yeah,
Well, unless you are Chuck Norris, where you can just yeah blow everybody into
unless
smithereens.
they're working with you and you know what they're gonna do. Yes,
Yeah.
that helps a lot. Yeah. So yes,
So.
the UFC. Back to the Gracie thing.
Mhm.
Hoist Gracie was, I guess, the thing that made it impactful was how skinny and small Hoist was
When we say
compared to some
small,
big guys.
when just
Yeah,
because I don't have a frame of reference, so when we say small, because of course, if he's small relative to a giant,
yeah,
then of
yeah, yeah,
course
yeah.
he's not necessarily small. But yeah, how what do we mean by small?
I'm not going to say a weight because I don't recall,
Mhm.
but it was. I guess it was the visual, like how he was a very skinny guy,
Mhm.
and some of the guys, like there was obviously the sumo wrestler who was quite large. There
Of
are more
course.
muscular guys like Ken Shamrock,
Mhm.
and Hoist ended up. He submitted in the first round. Ooh, oh, the boxer Art Jimerson, who was a top 10 ranked cruiserweight at the time, so he was fairly large.
Mhm.
And Hoist just submitted him easily because I think part of it was Art Jimerson was an actual combat sports athlete, and if he got hurt, he had something to lose. So he kind of bowed out pretty early. And next was Ken Shamrock,
Okay.
who was probably the guy in the tournament who had most experience with actual fighting, things like submissions and grappling and all that, because he had done some of the things in Japan. Then Hoist fought, yeah, Gerard Gordeau in the finals and submitted Gordeau. So to see a relatively skinny guy go up against more muscular men, take them down, control them, then like call them to submit
That
was a
adds to
visual
the
that really,
legend, right?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
It adds to the whole legend of like, well, you just need to have good technique, and then you
yeah,
can beat
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everybody.
The marketing in martial arts, like how a small person can beat a big person with using technique or whatever, maybe, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think it's
that's.
kind of exploded from there, yeah.
I see. I see. Do you use any kind of gear or some kind of protective equipment or something, or is it just you go like that and hope for the best?
So I guess the jitsu, you need to do it with a gi on, like the judo kind of uniform. You see
Okay.
them similar to judo,
Okay.
and you have to do it no gi, which is like wearing like shorts and like a rash guard or exercise shirt generally. So other than that, you mainly just wear a mouth guard, maybe protection for your ears. Some people do, but other than that,
Ah.
not a lot. Just because
Mhm.
there's no, at least in like competitive setting, there's no strikes involved or
I see. I see. Now, I don't know much about martial arts, but from what I have heard, like the East Asian martial arts, so let's say Kung Fu and then Karate, and so all those, they have like a component to them which we may call moral or spiritual, or let's say beyond the martial part. It's like the living part. So, does Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or mixed martial arts in general involve any of that? Or is it just about let me be ruthless and let me put the other guy down?
Um, Kind of somewhere in between. It usually doesn't have a well with jiu-jitsu. There isn't like a real governing body like there is for judo.
Hmm.
There are things that like the IBJJF, which is a for-profit company that does a lot of big tournaments, and there are different organizations. But there's no overarching like organization that actually has legitimate control over the whole sport,
I see. I
like
see.
there's judo. So, from my perspective, at least, a lot of the martial arts, like philosophy and other things like that, can be kind of misused a lot
Mm.
in terms of because there's a lot of good aspects you learn just from training and doing just to other martial arts, things like sportsmanship or
Yeah.
even discipline for yourself. But if I just tell you like have discipline and you have to have discipline, but maybe it's just me telling you, I don't necessarily live that or I don't necessarily promote that myself, it can become I guess that gets into like the culty aspect of martial arts where it can be do what I say and yes, I'm a good person because I have a black belt or I'm a good person because I'm good at this
I
or
see, I see, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, whereas if you live the experience, so if the other person is actually disciplined and you see it in their conduct, like he is always first at the, he or she, whatever, first at the gym, does the drills correctly, never tries to take a shortcut and is always meticulous, then that inspires you, right? Especially if it's, I guess, in the gym dynamics, if it's some older member and then you are the younger one and you're like, wow, this guy is in his 50s and he does all these things and I'm here and
yeah,
I struggle.
you kind of set standards and maybe set an example. I don't know,
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
rather than me telling you just be disciplined and yeah.
Yeah, I think
There's
that
other
doesn't
things
work.
like always bowing, not necessarily treating others with respect in your words or actions. But yeah,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And because you mentioned this, like the sporty aspect of it, so you have to cultivate these ideals of the fair competition and of us respecting each other. Does that exist in the gym or not really? Is it like everybody is there to do their Hollywood kind of moves?
on so especially in the in the gym, you can you can train hard and you can try to compete with the other person, but it should at the end of the day it should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're having a bad time, say like even in the kids class, if I'm teaching a kids class and the kid may be training hard or like learn new things, but if they're having a bad time or they're miserable doing it, will I be able to coach them the next day? Are they going to show up again?
Okay, okay.
So it's creating an environment where people are having fun. They're also learning. They're also getting good exercise.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to have that fight club environment and still have that.
I see, I see. How is it in terms of dynamics between people? Like, for example, you have a technical side to yourself where you use Emacs, you write, you have your internet-based hobbies, and then you go and you do a contact sport, martial arts. So, how is it? Like, do you have other people like you, or are they from completely different walks of life?
So the funny thing about Jitsu is, given that it's a combat sport and it's can be hard work, but it's not quite as extreme as like mixed martial arts.
Okay.
So honestly, you get a lot of like computer people or like I guess you consider them, I don't know, for lack of a better term, nerdy people with like different interests or like different
Mm-hmm.
specialties
Mm-hmm.
they may not expect to train a combat sport.
Mm-hmm.
At least a lot of different people from different environments kind of showing up and hopefully sticking
Mm-hmm.
around.
Yeah, that's impressive because me, I used to play football semi-professionally, and there you wouldn't have the nerdy people as you described them. They would do other things, of course. They still have the other activities, like they would be into all sorts of more mechanical parts, let's say. But it would always be the sporty kids, and it was always rather a highly competitive environment. Like we weren't really just playing. It was like, okay, I will have to actually beat you up.
Hmm.
The
In terms of
equivalent
your
of that,
football
of course.
experience, was it?
Sorry?
'Cause I know, especially in Europe, football kind of has like a bad reputation of sorts,
Hmm.
at least some of the time, in terms of like fans or like,
Yeah, it's a
I guess,
different
soccer
culture.
hooligans, they call them.
Yeah.
Was
Of
that
course, of course. It's a
was
different
that a large
culture.
thing when you were training, or?
Yeah. So of course, hooliganism is big in Europe, and in some parts, such as in Greece, it's actually a big problem. It's huge, like it's widespread, and I think fundamentally hooliganism is a reflection of something deeper, which is like a lot of people don't have an outlet for all that energy they have, all that, let's call it, capacity for violence, capacity for destruction. Whereas, or let me put it differently, a lot of people that should be doing sport don't do sport. Basically, I would say that's hooliganism.
Would you say like they don't have the opportunity, or they don't necessarily see it as positive? They don't try it out, or they do
They
try it
don't
out and
try
it's
it
too
out, I
hard?
would
Or,
say. Like, there always are opportunities. Like, for example, football is traditionally the sport of the poor people
right.
because you don't need any special equipment. Even a ball is something that is really optional. Like, you can even play with a bottle of water that you put some pebbles in. Like, we've done that. So I would say it's not a matter of access to the sport. It's mostly a matter of, yeah, for whatever reason they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like the people who are, this is what I have observed in general, like people who will do a sport, whether it is a team sport like football or martial arts, generally what I find is that they are actually calm. So you're like, oh, you do this martial arts thingy, isn't that violent? So you must be a violent person. And then the answer is no, no.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the people who come in like their first day, and they come the first day, maybe they're in shape, maybe they're out of shape, but they say they want to like fight mixed martial arts. They want to fight like in front of a crowd and things like that.
Oh.
To my knowledge, there is only one person I can think of that ever came in, said first day, I want to fight MMA, that actually did it.
Ah, interesting.
It's rare that people actually stick through it. They
Hmm.
think they want to do it, or they do want to do it, but don't want to put in the or do the work part.
Ah, yeah, of course. That we have everywhere.
Or first there you go to lose the first at least.
Hmm. So the kind of people who want to be on the ring, basically they want the show aspect, the fame aspect, but they are not in it for the rigors of training, of discipline, of showing up each day and that sort of thing.
I'm sure if they like jump straight to the accolades part and the bright lights part, they'd enjoy it. But if you don't do the hard work part, it's can't really get to that point.
Of course, but then if you don't do the hard work part, if they somehow parachute you straight to the ring, you will be obliterated, of course.
Yes, that's the problem there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Let's press on a little bit with that nerd
Yeah.
thing because I'm curious. So, uh, you go there and others will go there. Is there any discussion like, hey, what do you do outside of jiu-jitsu? Like, do you have these kind of conversations, or is it really about the
I
sport?
no, yeah, we do. I guess that's the thing. I probably wouldn't have stuck with jitsu if it wasn't for the people,
Mm-hmm.
the social aspect, and the people are always great and just fun to be there. So I probably wouldn't have stuck with it if it wasn't for the social environment that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so now I will echo my grandma who didn't know anything about sport and was like always paranoid, like, oh, you are going for sport and it's violent and it's all those bad boys and they will be a bad influence on you. So the equivalent of my grandma, what would you have to say to that? Like, Are you dealing with the bad boys there? Are they violent people? Do they bully others?
I would say no in this case, at least in my case, at least.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Is it? I would wager it has to do with the fact that those who stick through thick and thin and who go through the rigors, they don't have a need to prove anything by being bully-ish.
I think that's definitely a thing. A lot of it, because it doesn't have to be a positive environment. There are gyms that are not.
Hmm.
It's a matter of intentionally creating an environment that's positive for everyone who trains there, which I give a lot of credit to the owner and coach here for
Hmm.
creating that environment.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's no
And
like ironclad law that says this has to be a good environment. Yeah.
yeah, I see, I see, I see. So if it's a bad environment, is it really basically people will have rivalries and they fight each
Um,
other outside
Things
the
like
context of?
cliques can form, and people whether can range from like being unfriendly to being like a dangerous environment to train for a lot of
Mm.
people, or only available to certain people with certain attributes or people who are already tough, or
I see, I see, I see. Okay,
which maybe is fine if that's what they want to do when they have a small group. But yeah,
sure, sure, sure. But in your case, your gym has youth and it brings in a lot of people, so that kind of environment would basically drive people away.
hmm.
And so, is it a male-dominated sport or male-exclusive sport, or do you have females as well?
Male dominated, yes, but we have more and more women over the years, which is very positive. When I first started training, most of the time there there's basically one woman who was training with us or training in the gym regularly. I think for a few years even,
Mm-hmm.
and that starts to change over the years, which is positive. But
I see, I see.
it is, I'd imagine it's tough at least at first for a lot of women, just the close contact in terms of grappling and grabbing others, maybe getting used to roll with other men or even other women can be tough for a lot. Well, it can be tough for men too, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if
I
you are
imagine
not
with your
used
area,
to it,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I imagine it would be hard on everybody. Yeah.
Hmm.
Of course, it also depends on the kind of grapple you will be dealing with. Like, if somebody who is really experienced that grapples with you, basically they will overpower you really quickly.
Yes, that's true, but generally, like if a new person starts, the most dangerous combo will be a day one person and another day one person, not a day one person and an experienced person.
Ah, yeah, makes
Most
sense.
likely injury would come from pairing up two new people. They don't necessarily like know how to go about things, or they could do something that's dangerous just accidentally, or yes.
I see, I see. So on the scale of beginner to, let's say, intermediate or master or whatever, where are you on that? Or maybe there is a belt. I don't know exactly. So.
Yes. So at least for the adult belt system, there's a separate kids belt system that has more belts for youth, but for the adults, you start at a white belt, then it would go to blue, purple, brown, then black. Then they're
Okay.
like stripes, they're black belt, but that's a little different, but yeah. So I'm currently a brown belt. Yeah.
Brown belt. Okay, okay, good, good, good. And is that like you go through the ranks through by just by training or by winning matches or a combination?
So generally in jiu-jitsu, at least at my gym, we don't do things like tests for new belts. You're We'll do like most of the time we'll have a group rating where people are either given like new stripes to the belt or a new belt, and you'll be doing a test. You'll be when you're when the instructors feel ready, you'll be given your new belt once you have the
Okay,
experience and the necessary skills.
I see, I see, I see. And who is the highest ranked in your gym? Or like, what is the highest belt in your gym?
Um, our owner and instructor Alex, I'm pretty sure he's on his first stripe of black belt.
Okay.
So for black belt, for like stripes in their black belt, for each belt below that, you can get 4 stripes. So to show progression through that. But at black belt, it's a matter of like how many years you've been training. So I forget the system by like you get could be like 5 years, then you get your first stripe, then another 3 years, your second stripe, and so on and so on.
Hmm.
If you got your black belt around 18, 19, which is the earliest you can get it most of the time,
Basically a
you,
lifetime.
you wouldn't get like your highest rank, which would be like a red belt, until your 60s.
Ooh. Okay. So if you are in your sixties, I imagine you can still do it. But are
Oh
you
yeah,
actually? So when you are red belt in your sixties, can you actually beat a black belt in his forties, let's say?
a black belt in the 40s, that would be very unlikely.
So black belt would be older still.
So the red belt would be higher. Yes, so
So
the
yeah,
higher
in
rank red
terms of
belt would. If
ranking,
they're in their
red is
60s,
better.
that'd be
Yeah.
very unlikely. Yeah,
Okay,
but
I
if
see.
they're a super 60-year-old, yeah,
I see. I see. I see.
it's the
So it's
reality of time. Yes,
yeah, it's mostly an honorary title, is what I'm saying. It's not so much that red belt is more skillful and will beat up the black belt,
they may be more skillful. That
but not
probably
stronger.
true, but
Yeah.
not necessarily have the physical attributes at that point.
Hmm.
It becomes difficult as you know as you get older. At least past your mid 20s, you're not necessarily getting stronger and faster.
Yeah, yeah, of course, that's true. Well, like for example, in football, what you lose with age is explosiveness. So you don't necessarily lose strength or stamina. Like stamina, you can have in your 90s as well. Like there are people who go for a marathon run,
Right.
um, but you do lose explosiveness. And of course, if you don't have explosiveness, you lack that initial yard of pace you need to get to the ball first. So basically, you are out of the game. So I imagine in your sport, what matters more is raw strength, upper body strength,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. In terms of, I guess there's a difference between like I mentioned the no gi and the gi.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do tournaments in both. With the being like physically like strong, like just power strength, is probably even more useful in the gi, just because it's slower and like the grips involved. You can grab the actual material, and especially in high level tournaments, people will stay in one spot for a long time. Often,
Okay.
if say you're trying to get around their legs, like we call passing the guard. If one person's like on their back or on the ground, and you're trying to get around their legs to a more dominant position, we call that passing the guard. But if the person on bottom has a grip on your collar, your sleeve, or a certain combination they like, it could take you a while to pass that guard, especially in the gi.
Hmm.
Whereas no gi, it's a faster pace. There's less. It's hard to pin people, hard to pin them down for long periods. There's generally more movement,
So they need also more agility, more
stamina, and
balance,
things
yeah,
like
more
that. Yeah,
stamina, yeah, exactly.
rather than just power. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
need it's all good to have. I guess.
Of course, of course. I see, I see. So let's change topics. I think we elaborated at length here.
Yeah.
Um, So I was reading on your blog about movies and manga, and I am curious. Let's talk about manga because movies I basically know nothing about. So
Yes.
manga comes from where? Let's start with that. Let's say imagine somebody knows nothing about it. So what is manga and where does it come from?
So manga is basically a comic book or a form of comics that generally comes from Japan. So compared to like American comics, like American and I think mostly European comics, like bande dessinée, are often done in color, whereas manga is usually black and white art.
Hmm.
And instead of reading like the normal English way from left to right, you'd generally open up a book This is a regular book. I read it from right to left. So I
Gotcha.
start at the back where you normally.
Gotcha. And what
So
is
yeah,
like? What are like the themes? What are like the tropes? Like,
so
is it
that's
like
what
the
it is in the
movies, which
manga.
is all fighting?
The themes are all over the place.
Uh-huh.
But compared to something like anime, which a lot of anime like animation comes are based on manga originally.
Mm-hmm.
But doing anime, that costs a lot of money, costs a lot of time, a lot of people are involved. Whereas a manga, one person can sit down and draw.
Uh-huh.
They don't necessarily, if they want to publish it physically, like in a physical book, obviously you need a company to work with, usually. But if you want to post it on the internet, you have a pen, you have some paper, you're good to go.
Oh, but is that what you
And
get, or is it a more? So what I mean is it like a one-man show that you get, or is it like a more polished publisher kind of package?
so most manga that people would have heard of are more polished, like they're published in like a company, like you heard of like Dragon Ball,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
that would be done like it would originally came out in a manga magazine called in this case called a Shonen Jump. So the manga magazine would be have one new chapter a week of a bunch of different manga under that same
Ah.
publisher. So every week there'd be a new issue. Then every maybe 8 or 10 issues, they release a volume of Dragon Ball comprised of those 8 or 10 chapters so
Mm-hmm.
far. Then that would repeat
Mm-hmm.
till it's over. Yeah.
I see. And since you mentioned Dragon Ball, so of course Dragon Ball is basically about fighting, simplifying now, but
Yes, yeah.
yeah, basically about fighting. So is it like the anime where basically every episode you expect people to fight? Or is there more lore and more back and forth
Well,
in
with
terms
Dragon
of?
Ball quickly, especially in the early chapters, there's a lot of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like a fun, I don't know, martial arts romp, but there's still punching and fighting. But there's a lot of like gags,
Mm-hmm.
especially early on in the manga. As it goes on, there's more and more like maybe drama or more emotional fights. But yes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for that manga specifically, yeah.
And so you said, okay, there was this magazine, and it would release one chapter every week. How is it nowadays? Because nowadays
Mm.
you have the phenomenon of binge watching, right?
Mm.
So I sit down and I spend, I don't know, 10 hours and I watch the whole series.
Mm.
So that kind of person, what would they expect if they go into manga? Would they get the binge of manga, or would they have to be patient?
So it can be both.
Uh-huh.
Like if the manga's finished, it could be a longer manga, it could be a shorter manga.
Mm-hmm.
You can just read the manga, however many
Mm-hmm.
chapters there are. So it could be a shorter run of like one volume, or it could be like a popular long running manga like One Piece, which is well over 1,000 chapters by now and over 100 volumes.
Wow. And is it that a one person work?
So for things like that, usually manga artists will have assistants that help them. Like it could be anything from like filling things in
Mm-hmm.
to like little things like that. It could be bigger things. It depends on the artist and how many assistants they have.
Mm-hmm.
But based on the weekly schedule that or monthly schedule, it happens sometimes. Generally, the work is pretty brutal for a manga artist. Like people have published like their schedules of like the time they spend sleeping and the time they spend eating and the time they spend drawing.
Wow.
And a lot of nights they'll get like 3 hours of sleep, wake up, draw for 8 hours, 2 hours of sleep, eat food for half an hour, draw for 8 hours, then
Ooh,
repeat. Yeah.
that's really regimented and
Yeah.
rigorous.
Mm.
Wow. Well, that could also be an inspiration for people who are into productivity and stuff. Like,
Um.
yeah, just follow the manga artists and you will see how tough it is.
Yes and no. It is impressive in a way, but it's very brutal work culture.
So it's like a Japanese issue in general, you mean?
Yes, but came to an extreme in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Like the artist of popular manga called Berserk, Mira. He passed away a few years ago, I don't want to speak on the cause of death, but people like things like overwork didn't help.
Mm-hmm.
Like decades of obviously overwork and stress and
Uh,
the tough lifestyle isn't necessarily beneficial. If you see Berserk, like it's one of the manga with probably the most detailed or impressive artwork.
okay.
So it's
Which
incredibly
in
detailed and
itself is
elaborate.
difficult.
Yeah. Yes. Even like Berserk, there were long breaks as the manga went on, like more and more, as the art got even more improved and things like that. But it's still a brutal schedule with for any artist, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And doesn't necessarily bring your best at all times too. If you were barely sleeping and you're working yourself to the bone.
Yeah, yeah, of course. That cannot be good long term.
But when
But
there's so many artists like who are passionate about it and willing to work that schedule, if you're not, maybe you get replaced or you.
of
It's
course,
already
of course.
very popular. I know.
And if it's cultural, because if it was like
Yeah,
one person, you would say, okay, this person is a workaholic, fine.
yeah, yeah,
But if it's cultural, now of course everybody is out there to outcompete everybody else. Like,
yeah,
who is the
yeah,
most hardworking?
yeah. Whether it's to the benefit or not, it's kind of expected.
Correct, correct. So it's not hard work; it's just regular work.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I see, I see. So, are there manga you follow which come out every week? Like, basically,
Yes,
you wait for it.
yes. Probably the manga I followed weekly for the longest is called Hajime no Ippo,
Okay.
which is a manga around a bullied Japanese high schooler
Mm-hmm.
who takes up boxing
Okay.
and how he comes out of his shell and eventually becomes a pro boxer. Pro boxer. I think as of now, it's must be close to 1,500 chapters at this point.
1500. Wow.
So it's been going on since I think the early '90s, and yeah.
And it's the same creator, or has
Oh
it
yes, yeah.
been passed to between?
No, same creator, yeah, same
To have
artist,
that kind
same
of
artist.
commitment to your to your work, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
no, it's quite the project, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And is it like a big culture? Like, are there a lot of people who follow manga? Of course,
Um,
anime, because it's like on TV, I imagine is huge.
um, yeah, it's pretty big. I think more so in most places these days. Because you
Hmm.
access it online, you can
Hmm.
pretty much get access to most places. I think I think the industry is going through a change right now because of the conversion to like digital.
Mm.
Like, of course, in the '90s, if you want to read Dragon Ball or whatever manga, you go and you buy the magazine or you buy the volume. Whereas now you can find free copies online or you find
Hmm.
physical copies online too. You can, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see,
So it
I
changes the
see.
business model, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And to me, of course, as an outsider, it's interesting how there is basically this synergy in everything that comes out of Japan. Like, it seems that Japan is basically a cultural powerhouse. Like they
Yeah.
do a lot of
Soft
stuff.
power, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they have manga, anime, of course, martial arts are huge. They have Nintendo and
So
PlayStation,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and these are basically, if you are into one, chances are you are into other things, or uh,
Yeah, it's common to be like into video games, anime, manga,
mhm.
all at once, yeah.
Because I think you mentioned somewhere in your New Year's retrospective that
Yeah.
you were trying your Japanese skills. You were trying to learn.
Yes, slowly, yeah.
Uh-huh. And is that interest in a foreign language like Japanese, in part at least driven by your appreciation of that culture, such as manga?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And like, is there any realistic uses of Japanese where you are, or would it be mostly to read manga in its original language, or maybe travel to Japan?
Well, mostly no where I am,
Hmm.
but this past year there was an exchange student at local high school who went to the church I go to. So I could practice with her a little bit. She was from Japan. So I could
Hmm.
practice a little bit in person, which is fun.
Oh, that must be nice.
Doesn't come up often, but yes, that does happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That must be nice. And of course, I imagine if you ever travel there, that will be a wonderful experience.
Yes, I did travel there once, but I'd like to go again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course, Japan is a big country, actually. People
Mhm.
don't realize how big it is. Like, if you
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
on a map compared to Europe, it's actually massive.
yeah.
Uh, so,
Definitely
which
next time we
part?
go, I want to do more than like the big spots.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do more like, I guess, smaller, out of the way spots, or do a long
Mm-hmm.
walk or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Is
Like Tokyo, I
manga?
bet Tokyo are a lot of fun, but yeah,
Mm-hmm. Is manga originating from any particular part of Japan? Like, there are these hotspots always in culture.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So manga, there's a long, long history that I don't know too much about.
Mm-hmm.
But like modern manga is often credited to uh, Osamu Tezuka,
Okay.
who is the creator of, they call him the Godfather of manga. He created things like Astro Boy, Blackjack, a million other things.
Mm-hmm.
He also kind of got started with the not Japanese animation, but kind of anime as we think it today, sort
Mm-hmm.
of,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the production style, and did that with his animated version of Astro Boy.
I see. I see. I will have to look it up.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Let me
see.
know if you have any questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. But where was he based? So, which part of Japan are we talking about? If you know,
Ah,
of course. If you don't know, don't worry.
I
I will. I
know.
will
Oh, I
find.
forget the name of the city, but um, it's in Kansai, like Osaka, Kyoto area.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's where, because they have like a museum for
Mm-hmm.
him there. Forget the name, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. I see. I see.
But I don't think there's a. It kind of yeah. Don't think there's a exact area it comes from, but yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see. I see. I see. And the final thing, since I mentioned the Japanese, uh, do you do any of that where you also write in Japanese or you read the Japanese? Like, what have you been doing for that?
So at my current level, I can read basic things. Writing's a bit harder. Something to
Hmm.
work on. It'd be really fun to eventually be able to blog Japanese, but we'll get there.
I see, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so good luck with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome, you're welcome. So, I say we call it a day. We have been talking for about an hour, yeah, give or take. Thank you very much. Very interesting. I learned a lot. And now I have a million things to search for.
Yes. No, thanks so much, Prot. Great.
You're welcome. So let's call it a day then. I wish you all the best. I will close the call and then I will terminate the recording and then take it from there.
Absolutely. Hopefully, I'll see you again soon.
Yes, and I will actually link to the resources in the description. So the web site that you told me about.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. So take care, Thomas, and good luck with everything.
You as well. Bye now.
Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. And I will just have to stop the recording. So bye from my side, folks.